These are the answers for the exam review 1 through 25B and 26 through 50B. So in question number 1, what type of transformation is shown in the diagram? This is a flipped opposite mirror image, so it is a reflection. In question number 2, what's the rule for the translation? Pick a letter to another letter. I picked going from E to E prime. So I'm going left 3 and down 6. Left 3, down 6. You can pick any letter to the same letter prime. In question number 3, I'm going to call this a tooth. All right, the tooth turns, it's on its side, and then it's up and down. Anytime a picture turns, it is a rotation. In question number 4, find the scale factor. The scale factor is what you multiply by. Scale factor is what you multiply by. Choose a point. I chose C and C prime. How do you get from C, which is 2, 1, to C prime, which is 4, 2? What do you need to multiply by to get from 2 to 4? Well, 2 times 2 is 4. Or you could pick your Y value to your Y value. How do you get from 1 to 2? You multiply by 2. So that is the final answer. We are multiplying by 2. That is the scale factor. Question number 5, the only transformation that makes things bigger than what you started off with or greater is a dilation. Dilations make things bigger or smaller. In question number 6, there are lots of different possible answers that you could write down. Name one pair of angles that are not congruent. Congruent equal to. All right, congruent means equal to. Name one pair of angles that are not the same size. So for example, you could pick 1 and 2. Notice that angle 1 is a big obtuse angle, where angle number 2 is a small little acute angle. Those are different sizes, so they are not equal to each other.
1, 1, 1. Ms. Brown.
In question number 7,
One,
what
one,
is the
one.
value of X? These two angles are in the same place. They're in the upper left and upper left. If they're in the same place, that means they're equal to each other. Even look at the size of those angles. If you outline the angles like I did in blue there, you notice that they even look the same. In parallel lines cut by a transversal, if they look the same, they are the same, they're equal to each other. So you would set up this equation where you set them equal to each other. The one angle equals the other angle. Solve for X, you get X equals 10. In question number 8, alternate interior. Alternate means opposite corner, and interior means inside the parallel lines. So we're looking inside the parallel lines in opposite corners. So we're looking at like 2 and 7, or we're looking at like 4 and 5, inside opposite corners. Question number 9, they give you this angle. They tell you that angle 6 is 110. Well, if angle 6 is 110, they want to know what angle 2 is. Notice that this is in the bottom left and the bottom left. They're in the same place. When they're in the same place, those are called corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are equal to each other. Even if you didn't know that they're corresponding, just look at the size of the two angles when you outline them. If they look the same, they are the same, they're equal to each other. In question number 10, find the value of X. These two angles added together equal this outside angle. So X plus 37 equals 100, and then solve it for X. Or you could just take the outside angle and subtract the inside angle. Either way, you get 63. In question number 11, find the volume of the cone. So 4 is your radius, 8 is your height. Sub the numbers in to the formula where they belong. So 1/3 times pi times 4 squared times 8. You get this big long decimal, rounding to the nearest tenth, you get 134. In question number 12, the diameter goes all the way across the sphere. We don't want the diameter, we always want the radius, so you have to divide it by 2 first. 5.5 is your radius. So when you go to do the formula, you're subbing in a 5.5 for your radius. You're not using the 11 in the formula. 4/3 times pi times 5.5 cubed, you get 696.9 when you round. In question number 13, 5 is your radius, 12 is your height. Subbing in the numbers to where they belong. Pi times 5 squared times 12, you get 942.5 when you round. In question number 14, you have a can. A can is a cylinder just like this. It is 10 inches high, so that is your H, and it has a diameter of 3. You never want the diameter, you want the radius. So 3 divided by 2 equals 1.5 for our radius. Pi times 1.5 squared times 10 is 70.7 when you round. In question number 15, we have a hemisphere. That's why we have a 0.5 in our formula. 0.5 times 4/3 times pi times, it tells you a radius of 8, so 8 to the 3rd power, you get 1072.3. In question number 16, what is the decimal form of the fraction? You have to do top divided by bottom. So you do -7 divided by 18, you end up with -0.38888888888 or 8 repeating. Unfortunately, you can't do the repeating sign in class kit, so you got to type in a whole bunch of 8s after the 3. In question number 17, which expression below is not equivalent? So not equal to the other 3. So 3 of them are the same, 1 of them is different. You have a percent, you have a exponent, you have a fraction, just change them all into decimals. So when you change them into decimals, you get these answers. A, C, and D are all the same. B is the different one because that's just 0.37. In question number 18, less than, greater than, or equal to, change it into a decimal, change it into a decimal. You end up with 2.6 and 2.6. Those are clearly equal to each other. In question number 19, put the following numbers in order from least to greatest. I would change them all into decimals first. When we change them into decimals, make them look like money. Money's easier to put in order from least to greatest. Any negative number is smaller than any positive number. So you know that the negative numbers come first. The more a negative number is, the smaller it actually is. So -4 is our first number because that's the smallest. -2.82 would be the next biggest number. And then we're dealing with positive numbers. The next one would be $2.64. The next one would be $4.14. In question number 20, change this into a decimal, you get 3.46. 3.46 is in between 3.4 and 3.6. 3.5 would be in the middle, so it's just to the left of the middle of 3.5, just after the 3.4. In question number 21, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. These formulas will show up, the same thing with the volume formulas before, they will be on your final exam. You just need to know how to use them. So your C side is your slanted side. That's the side that we're solving for in this one. Doesn't matter which one is your A or which one is your B. Sub the numbers in, so we have 12 squared plus 40 squared equals C squared. You get 1,744 when you type this into the calculator. The last step in every question is to take the square root. So you have to do the square root of 1,744. You get 41.8 when you round it. Now in that one, we were solving for the C side, so we had to add together the two numbers after we square it. In 22, we're solving for either the A or the B side, depending on how you set it up. So we have a squared plus 2.5 squared equals 3 squared. This side has to be your C side, the 3, because that's the slanted side. So when we're solving for A or B, we need to get that A or B all by itself. So after you square the numbers, we need to subtract them. When we're solving for C, like in 21, we add them. When we're solving for A or B, we subtract them. So we get 2.75, take the square root of 2.75, round to the nearest tenth, you get 1.7. In question number 23, in this one, on the actual final exam, you'll be given 4 sets of numbers. You need to figure out which one is the yes, which one checks. What you need to remember is that the numbers don't always go in order A, B, C. Your C side is your biggest number. So in this one, the C would be 12. In this one, the C would be 17. We need to make sure that we sub it in the formula into the correct spot. If you sub it into the A or the B spot, you're going to get the wrong answer. In this one, we end up with 145 equals 144. Those are not equal to each other. That one would not form a right triangle. In this one, we end up with 289 equals 289. This one does form the right triangle. Again, on your final exam, you're going to look for the one that does check, the one that is your yes. In question number 24, we have two different triangles. We have our triangle here at the top. We have our triangle here at the bottom. You're looking for the slanted side here. You're looking for the slanted side here. Then you figure them out. You get 20 and 40. You're looking for the distance from car to car. 20 plus 40 gives you 60. In question number 25, the legs of a right triangle, legs. Legs mean your A and your B side. Remember, your hypotenuse is your C side. So it tells you that the A and the B are 12 and 15. That's why I put 12 here and 15 here. 12 squared plus 15 squared equals x squared. You can type that right into the calculator. We're solving for the C side. You get 369. Take the square root, you get 19.2. Taking a look at 26 through 50. In 26 through 50, in number 26, this goes all the way back to September. We're dealing with scientific notation. Put a decimal point after the first non-zero number, so in between the 2 and the 3. So it becomes 2.38, and then you have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places to get to the end. So it's times 10 to the 8th power. I think number 27 is the hardest question on the whole entire exam. In question number 27, you have to use this formula. Distance equals rate times time. You're being given the distance right here. All right, the distance is 1.5 times 10 to the 11th power. Notice that I sub that in where distance is in the formula. It says that the rate, it says that the speed or the rate is 3 times 10 to the 8th. Notice that I put that in where the rate goes. You're looking for the time. All right, time is what you're looking for. About how long does it take? So you have this times t equals this. Just like solving a one-step equation, you have to divide and divide. When you type this into the calculator, you must type in the parentheses. If you don't type in the parentheses around the scientific notation, you will get the wrong answer every single time. So 1.5 times 10 to the 11th inside parentheses divided by inside parentheses 3 times 10 to the 8th, you get 500. 500 is really 5 times 10 to the 2nd power in scientific notation. In question number 28, the population of Illinois is 12,900,000. So put a decimal point after your first non-zero number in between the 1 and the 2, and then move your decimal point 7 places to get to the end. So it's times 10 to the 7th. In question number 29, just take this and type it right into the calculator. -6 to the 3rd power. You get -216. Make sure that you type it in inside parentheses. In number 30, you have to know the rule. When you multiply, you keep the bases the same. So the 6 stays the same. The big number stays the same. And you add your exponents. 6 plus 3 is 9. So 6 to the 9th power. In question number 31, taxi cab charges $2.50 plus 50 cents per mile. So no matter what, when you step inside the taxi cab, you're going to get charged $2.50. Then you're getting charged 50 cents for every mile that you go. So 50 cents times the number of miles. I know that in class kick, I said to use an X, but that's really the miles. So, and their total was 950. So equals 950. Don't have to solve it, just have to set it up. Again, on the final exam, this will be multiple choice. You'll have 4 different possibilities that you have to pick from. In question number 32, there is really a 1 in front of this t. We have a 6t on one side, a 1t on the other. First thing you want to do is minus 1t and minus 1t. So you have 5t minus 2 equals negative 17. Now it's just a two-step equation. So add 2, divide by 5, you get t equals negative 3. In question number 33, you want to use the distributive property. So take the number outside, multiply by both things inside. 2 times 3t is 6t. 2 times 1 is 2. Again, just like the previous problem, we have letters on both sides, so subtract 6t. Now it's just a two-step equation. Add by 6's, divide by 2's, you get t equals 4. In question number 34, Jeremy has 345 stamps. Jonas has 35 fewer than that. All that you have to do is take your 35 and subtract it from the 345 to get 310. In question number 35, you need to solve this by distributing and distributing. Take that 0.5, multiply by 2, and multiply by 12. You get 1x plus 6 equals 1x minus 6. So we have 1x's on both sides. You need to subtract 1x from both sides. Well, when you do that, those x's cancel out, those x's cancel out, and you just end up with 6 equals negative 6. 6 does not equal negative 6, so that is no solution. It would be infinite if we had the same number on each side, like 3 equals 3. But here we have different numbers, so it is no solution. In number 36, what is the value of the slope? I think this is a hard question for a lot of people as well. You will be given this formula that you need to use. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember that all points are written x comma y. So 4 is an x, 8 is a y, 6 is an x, 2 is a y. This is your first point, so those get 1s. This is your second point, these get 2s. Sub the numbers into the formula where it belongs. So we have y2, which is 2, minus y1, which is 8, x2, which is 6, x1, which is 4. 2 minus 8 is negative 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. You could put negative 6 over 2, but you really should reduce it. So divide by 2, divide by 2, you end up with negative 3 over 1. I will tell you on your final exam, you would not see negative 6 over 2 listed as an answer. You would see negative 3 over 1, the reduced answer. In number 37, Bob made $40 for doing 5 hours of work. What's his hourly rate? All you have to do is divide. $40 divided by 5, he earns $8 an hour. In question number 38, I think this is a hard one for a lot of people too. These are your x values. These are your y values. We want to know which of these three is a coordinate pair, is a solution to this, to the system of equations. So we need to take our y values and sub them in for y. We need to take our x values and sub them in for x. Oops, I messed that up. My bad, my bad, my bad. Take your y values and add them in for y. This is your y. And take your x values and sub them in for x. Notice that they're trying to trick you. This one doesn't go in order, x, y. In this equation, the y comes first and then the x. So sub those numbers in and you want to see which one checks in both equations. It has to check in both equations for it to be the correct answer. The only one that checks in both equations is 1, 3. When you sub in 1 and 3, you get 2 equals 2. When you sub in 1 and 3, you get 15 equals 15. In number 39, you want to rearrange the equation so that it is solved for y. Solve for y means that you have the y all by itself, as in y equals. To get this y all by itself, we need to get rid of the 2x. We get rid of the 2x by doing minus 2x and minus 2x. These 2x's cancel out. Bring down your negative y, bring down your equal sign. 4 minus 2x. We have to switch around the order. All right, we can't do a plain number minus an x, but we can switch around the order like that. And then this is really a negative 1y. So we want to divide by -1, divide by -1, divide by -1. That gets the y equals all by itself, which is what we want. -2 divided by -1 is a +2. 4 divided by -1 is -4. In question number 40, what is the equation of the line shown in the graph? So here's our dots. All right, here's our dots. We want to know, how do you get from dot to dot to dot? We're going up 1/3, up 1/3, up 1/3. So therefore, that's the number that goes in front of our x, because that is our slope. Your y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. The line crosses the y-axis right here at 4. That's where we're getting this 4 from, as a +4 at the end. So y equals 1/3 x plus 4. In question number 41, when you take a look at the graph going from left to right, the graph is clearly going down. Since it's going down, it is decreasing, choice B. In question number 42, again, this is one that's hard for a lot of people because they don't remember what the word domain means. Domain just means your x values. Remember that all points are written x comma y. Since all points are written x comma y, all that I want to know is, what are the x values? So the x values are 2, 1, -1, 0, and 1. That's all that they want to know there. What are the x values? In question number 43, this is a hard one for a lot of people as well. I think this is probably the second hardest question on the whole entire exam. Matt and Seth purchase baseball cards each week. The rate of cards that Matt purchases each week is shown in the graph. So Matt is represented in the graph. Notice it even says Matt's collection, all right? This is Matt's collection. Seth purchases 3 cards per week. Which statement is true about their collections? Well, what you're going to have to do is use that slope formula. If you forget the slope formula, remember that you can go back to question number 36. The slope formula will be right there in question number 36. You just have to remember to go back to it. So when you go back to it and you see that it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So pick out your 2 points, all right? I use these as my 2 points. All points are written x comma y. This is your first point, so these get 1s. This is your second point, these get 2s. Sub these numbers into your slope formula. So you have 30 minus 22 over 5 minus 1. You get 8/4. You won't see 8/4 as an answer. You would have to divide by 4 and divide by 4. You get a slope or a rate of 2. Well, that is choice B. Matt collects at a rate of 2 cards per week. In question number 44, which table represents a non-linear? Linear is when you're adding or subtracting by the same number each time. -1, -1, -1. That's going to form a straight line. +3, +3, +3, looking at the y values. +2, +2, +2, looking at the y values. These 3 will form a line, and a line. Notice what happens on this one. We're adding by 3, adding by 5, adding by 4. It's not the same each time, therefore it is not going to form a line, non-linear. Which function matches the table below? What we're really testing here is the y-intercept. Remember that when x equals 0, whatever your y value is your y-intercept. So when x equals 0, y is -1. Well, where does that show up? That shows up in your plus or minuses at the end of your equation, because that's your y-intercept. So which one has a -1? It is choice B. In question number 46, which 2A table is a valid conclusion? So which one is true? The only way to do this is to go through each one and see it trial and error. The correct answer is choice B. Of students who dislike hamburgers, So students who dislike hamburgers, we're talking about those 6. Most don't play the guitar. Play the guitar is 1. Don't play the guitar is 5. 5 is most, so that is choice B. Question number 47. What type of association is shown in the scatter plot? As we go from left to right, our dots are going down. Anytime it goes down, it is negative. Down is negative. Positive would be going up. All right, positive would be going up like that. Non-linear is a U shape or a U shape, and no is randomly all over the place, where you can't tell if it goes up or down. In number 48, which statements is best supported by the scatter plot? As the number of weeks in the top 40 increases, the singles decrease. So notice right here, our label, the number of weeks in the top 40. So as that goes more and more and more to the right, what is happening to the number of singles sold? The number of singles sold is going down. So as weeks increase, singles are decreasing. In question number 49, which of the following is the most reasonable equation for the line of best fit? So this one's a hard one for a lot of people too, but I do have a suggestion. Look at the slope. When we take a look at this graph, all right, when we take a look at this graph, our graph is clearly going up. Therefore, the number that's in front of your X has to be positive because our graph is going up. You could eliminate choices B and C right away because they have a negative slope. That would mean that the line was going down. So now you have to determine, is the slope 0.5 or is it 2? Well, take a look. If we were going 2, we're starting here at 3. If we went up 2 over 1, we would end up right here. Is that where our line is? No. But if we go up 1 and over 2, up 1 over 2 is really 0.5. That is on the line. Up 1 over 2 is on the line. Up 1 over 2, it is on the line because we would have this point and this point. All right. So it would be choice A. Which of the following is the best estimate for 20 days? So we go over to 20, we go up to our trend line, and if we go straight across, it's approximately at 13, which is choice C.